Hello, everyone.
Ooh, okay.
We're having major technical difficulties here.
For some reason, can you guys hear me? Ah, okay. We got some volume. Ah, there you go, babe.
There we go. Ah, finally.
Yay!
I'm trying to figure out what I did.
Okay, guys. We apologize for the technical difficulties that we were incurring.
Sorry, guys. I don't know what I did. I don't even know what I did to bring it back. So
That's always good when we have no clue. Okay. Hello, Stephanie Bear, William, Sarah, Spectrum of Thoughts. So happy you're all here. Hey, Sarah, can you put a link in for Krista so she can find us? She gets lost. Okay. Sorry for the difficulties, everybody. I'm glad you joined us. Tonight's going to be a good night. Tonight, we're going to cover some more, a case that's really hard because it was real injustice. Okay? But I want you to all get ready. I welcome back all my truth seekers. I'm Z, the storyteller, through the darkness, mapping the twisted roads where predators hunt and justice fails. And as always, my ride or die, Doc is riding shotgun, ready to help us uncover the forgotten stories that this system would rather leave buried. So buckle up, it's going to be bumpy as we're about to lead you through another chamber of this house of horrors that they call the justice system. Okay. You ready, Doc? I think he's ready.
there we go.
Okay. Well, first we're going to start with a couple of just real quick updates. That's not the start. You have that on scrolling. Ah, there we go. Okay, tonight we're going to start with a couple of updates. And Rihanna Sellers, who was missing in British Columbia, has been located. Great news. So thankful for that they have located her. Michelle Elbow Shield was one of the first cases I ever mentioned on Alive, and sadly, her remains were found on the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation. She was identified. She had disappeared back in September of 2023. She was last seen in Rapid City, and her remains were discovered in January. And they were near after they had a 16-month investigation, because I had been watching this and hearing nothing, but they actually used advanced DNA technology with Orthram, which we all know is how they find a lot of Jane and John Does. And so they used that forensic grade genome sequencing, and they were able to identify her for her family so that they could bring her home. I know she was close to her grandmother. So the Rapid City Police Department and the Bureau of Indian Affairs for the Missing and Murdered Unit, they announced that South Dakota is using this technology now. And it coincides with a press release, Operation Spirit Return initiative to bring closure to the families of the missing and murdered Indigenous people. And you can just go ahead and go to the next one. They're still trying to find out what happened to her. So there isn't, if anybody knows anything or has seen anything, please, we beg you to contact the authorities and let them know. Okay, so at least we got Brianna home. Sadly, we got Michelle home not the way we wanted. And this is a picture of Michelle. She was a beautiful young lady. Operation Spirit Return is actually their launch date was February 20th in 2025. This is the goal is to resolve these missing and identified people, and it says involving cases with the American Indians and Alaskan Natives as their focus. They will identify the unknown remains near the Indian country and return them to family and tribal communities, which is, the families need that. They need their loved ones back. And so right now they have 15 unidentified persons cases across the region, including Alaska, that they're looking into. So Brian Mercer was the BIA director, and Richard Glenn Melville is the deputy bureau director. And they're working with NamUs, who we know is the National Missing and Identified Persons System, and Orthram, which is a Texas-based forensic genetic genealogy. I can't say it tonight, Doc. Oh, but so this is what they're going to be using with Operation Spirit. So let's hope we get more people home. Okay, Spirit Return. Okay. And Michelle was so beautiful. She was so tiny too. If I remember right, I think she was 4'11". She was just a tiny little thing. I hope they find out what happened to her, because her family deserves answers. Okay, tonight, this is in honor and in the memory of Utahnna Bearcomesout. Bearcomesout. Okay. I am sorry if I do not say that correctly. I am not great with names, people. And for some reason, I'm getting Utahnna out, and that is a beautiful name. This takes place in Casper, Wyoming. They had a federal judge that actually sentenced 38-year-old Conrad Tillman to 30 years in prison Friday for the second-degree murder of his wife. And this was his wife, Utahnna. That is the only time I will say the pond scum's name, because after this, he does not deserve a name. So, Utahnna was shot in the head while they were driving on Highway 287 south of Fort Washakie in April 2024. The U.S. District Judge, Judge Kelly H. Rankin, handed down the sentence of 348 months following a 3.5-hour hearing. And the details of this case are horrible, you guys. It's just mind-blowing. The fact that their 11-year-old daughter was sitting in the back seat of that moving car or the pickup truck, and she saw this. She saw this pond scum shoot her mother with her own eyes. Judge Rankin, he said during the sentencing that this is not your ordinary second-degree murder case in that regard. Like, hello, come on, people. Why they even call it second degree, we'll get into that. Utahnna's sister, Rafina, said that the pond scum sat and made jokes with his attorney during this 3.5-hour hearing. Tried to, be the funny man. He was at a hearing to be sentenced for the murder of his wife, and he was making jokes. Hope he's making some now, and I hope he's got some nice friends in there. But yeah, okay. The judge increased the sentence guidelines to 5 levels because the pond scum shot her in front of their child and used a weapon while operating the vehicle. So he was going to serve 5 years of supervised release after he gets out of prison. After he shouldn't be getting out of prison. That is wrong. I don't know what this judge is thinking. It is totally wrong. He shouldn't. They made a plea deal, and I don't know why. And this is the only picture you will see of the knuckle dragger, okay? Because we don't like him. So according to the court testimony and the documents, the shooting occurred on April 14th, 2024, as he was driving her and their daughter to go get food in Lander. So, typical day. Hey, Christy, good to see you, darling. They're going on a drive to get food, okay? He initially claims the shooting was accidental. He told the detectives that they had started arguing, and he pulled a 9mm pistol and pointed it at her head, and the gun discharged, killing the 37-year-old mother. Hey, Krista, glad you got here, sweetheart. So, first of all, what are you doing with a gun in a moving vehicle? That's not accidental. I'm sorry, that took planning. You planned to have a gun with you. After the shooting, he stopped the truck, and he flags down a passing vehicle, asking the driver to call 911. Can you imagine being that driver? Really, I'd be scared to death. And he said, I just shot my wife and I need help. And the dispatcher at the 911, which they played during the sentencing, he said, she started to beat me up and I didn't know what to do. I'm tired of living this lifestyle. My partner and me, I lost my mind years ago and we had a hard time. Yeah, right. Such a liar. The Wind River Police Department officers responded to the scene and found him walking beside a passerby's van. But when they looked in his truck, they discovered that she was slouched over in the passenger side, unresponsive. So think about that. She is in the passenger side. He was driving when he shot her. There was no accidental. She was pronounced dead at 9:43 p.m. And their daughter was there. And that breaks my heart. Now, the FBI agent who examined the truck, he found the 9mm pistol with 1 round in the chamber and 3 more in the magazine. And it was wedged between the driver's seat and the center seat. And a spent bullet casing was found on the dashboard against the windshield on the passenger side and the windscreen where it appeared to be the bullet's exit hole. Okay. Dr. Bill Smuck, a police surgeon who testified at the sentencing, stated that the forensic reconstruction showed Utahnna was bent over to the right in the passenger seat when she was struck. So that means she was leaning away from him. She must have been terrified, the poor thing. And then he's trying to say it was an accident. There is no way that was an accident. He planned it and he executed it. And why this judge let him get off with such a light sentence is just wrong. And people have to speak up for Utahnna because she deserves it. And so does her family. She has 2 sisters. She has children, a mother, other siblings and cousins and aunties, and they loved her dearly. I talked with her sister today, and one of the sisters, and she's still devastated. This is still something that really just Rafina, it wrecks them because they loved her so much. But the knuckle dragger was initially charged with first-degree murder, discharging and brandishing a fire weapon during and concerning a violent crime, using a gun that resulted in deletion. He pleaded not guilty at his arraignment hearing on June 10th. How you plead not guilty, I'll never know. And it was first-degree murder. But on January 7th, the knuckle dragger entered a guilty plea to a lesser charge of second-degree murder in a plea agreement with U.S. Attorney Cameron Cook. As part of the deal, the firearm charges were dismissed at sentencing. I wish someone would explain to me how on earth you dismiss the gun charge, because without the gun charge, she would not have been killed. Stephanie, he shot her while her back turned. So she was turning away, and that's when oh, Lord have mercy. Yeah, that judge and the attorney general up there and that judge need letters written to them because they do not understand that was a premeditated murder. William, judges need to be put through the Running Man when they do. Well, that's an idea. I mean, the fact that they don't have any, recourse against them when they do bad decisions. And why the U.S. attorney did this, I don't know, because it was wrong. He should never have taken a plea agreement. I mean, they had him calling. They knew his daughter witnessed it. There is no reason they should have taken a plea deal. And I'll tell you, the only reason they did, number one, is money. And because she was not blonde and blue-eyed. If she had been a Caucasian, blonde and blue-eyed, they would have thrown that guy under the jail. And people have got to remember that Native Americans and Indigenous people count. They matter. And this is wrong. It said during the sentence hearing, the prosecutor said that the murder involved premeditation and advocated for a sentence exceeding standard guidelines. So the prosecutor was, advocating for it, but yet he gave him a plea deal. It's like, why did you do that? You kind of you're having a fit there, dude. So this is a picture of her with her siblings and her mom and her grandma. She was a beautiful woman, and beautiful family. Judge Rankin dismissed the premeditation claim, but still imposed a harsher sentence due to the presence of the child and the use of the weapon while driving. And for everyone's peace of mind, Rafina told me that the little girl is with her grandma. So she does have a safe home. She'll never get over the trauma, but she's got her family, and her family will hold her tight and be there for her. Now, the knuckle dragger received credit for the 11 months and 7 days he had already served in tribal court for the crime, and the judge also ordered him to pay $6,998 in restitution and to get a GED while in prison. Wow. Yeah, get your GED, dude. We don't care. We don't want you coming out of prison. This was senseless. It was unnecessary, and this was cruel, the judge said. He said that but because the knuckle dragger lacked a criminal history, he says, I hope you come out a better person. How can you come out a better person when you're willing to do this in front of your child? This case just baffles me, and that the justice system was so blind and that they let this happen. It said, according to family members and friends, Utanna's relationship with Tillman had showed signs of controlling behavior before the murder. Her sisters Chanel and Rafina told reporters that she had begun retreating, and the family, probably around 2015, and they attributed it to him because he was becoming more and more controlling. He started becoming this really big control freak, and so she just kind of stopped coming around the family because I'm sure she didn't want to rock the boat. And she started skipping family events. And Rafina said, my sister's relationship wasn't the best, but I could honestly say that she wanted to get out. And that's something that people don't realize, is that when a woman starts being controlled and abused, that they get so tore down that it's hard to make that move. And Utahnna said many times that she didn't even know how, because of the threats, the gaslighting, the manipulation that he would put her through. He would tell her nobody loved her the way I do, and your family doesn't love you. And that's typical controlling behavior. And so they begin to believe it, because you can only tell someone that they're not worth it, that nobody else loves them for so long, that they believe it. They start to believe it even when their family does love them and want the best for them. William's getting the wood chipper out. Yeah. You know, it's women, because one thing, most women who are in an abusive situation, you have to remember, it takes 8 to 9 times before they finally leave. Because in between that 8 and those 1 to 8 or 1 to 9 times, they may have tried to leave. They may have gotten so far, and then they got back and the abuse was even worse. There are threats that get made. So we don't know what they actually go through. So remember, this is a safe place for all of us. Nobody ever say, I don't know why she never left. Because there are reasons. You know, they're so taken to the ground by these people that tell them that they're not worth anything. And they begin to believe it, because you can only be beaten up so many times. And it doesn't have to be physically. It can be mentally. And she said, Rafina said, I know this because my sister would always ask me, how did you leave your relationship, sister? And I would talk to her and give her advice. As much as I wanted my sister to leave her marriage, she says, I knew she felt trapped and scared. I could see it in her eyes. If you've ever been in an abusive relationship, you know those are hard to get out of, especially when children are involved. Because even if you do finally get out, there still has to be some kind of a relationship. William, you understand, you have 3 daughters, you know, and sadly have been just going through a divorce. You still have to have that contact. So if it's abusive, it's terrible. And here are the statistics, you guys, because you know me and my stats. Hey, Fala, glad you joined us, honey. I love my stats. It says over 80% of Indigenous women have experienced violence in their lifetime. 84%. It says over half, 56.1% have experienced sexual violence. Intimate partner violence, 55.5% of Indigenous women have experienced physical violence from intimate partners. The homicide rate is the fourth leading cause of death for Indigenous women ages 25 to 34. It talks about, they want us to say grape, which is stupid, of the U.S. Department of Justice reports that 34% of Indigenous women will be raped during their lifetime. YouTube and their fruit words. And the missing and murdered Indigenous women, the MMIW, there were 5,712 reports of missing American Indian and Native women and girls in 2016. Those stats have only gone higher. And when you try and look for stats, you'd be surprised how hard I have a time finding current stats. Sadly, we know that the government is not interested in history or stats anymore, so they're going to be harder to find. But we have to know them. We have to be aware of what is happening. And it's because it could happen to us too. And that's the thing. Once we start thinking, well, it doesn't affect me, yeah, it does. It affects all of us. This is a picture of Utahnna with her son and daughter, and it was taken not that long before she died. And her sister shared this with us. She wants her to be remembered, and we're going to honor her because she had beautiful children and a life, and she deserved to live it. Oh, William, you may have played a part in your divorce, but you weren't abusive, and that's the important thing. And that's, sometimes people don't get along. You walk away. You don't stay in a relationship if it's that bad. But it said that 86% have reported of the rapes or sexual assaults on Native women. The perpetrators are non-Native. Now think about that. 86 of them that are reported are non-Native. And that goes into a whole nother ball game of that on the reservations, they are not allowed to charge non-Native people for coming on the reservation and committing crimes. Don't get me started on that one because that's wrong too. That's for another stream. We're focusing on Utahnna. But her childhood friend, Oda Walking Elk, who roomed with her at the Flander Indian School in South Dakota. I can hear myself. Doc's sitting here listening. I can hear myself. That's weird. She reported that the knuckle dragger had reached out to her years before the murders, telling her to leave them alone. Walking Elk said that Utahnna subsequently cut off communications with her. So he was even going to her friends and telling them to stay away, you guys. That is a real control freak. That is someone with issues. If he is reaching out to her friends, telling them to leave her alone. She said, eventually Utahnna quit talking to me, and I'm sure it was to please him or just for the peace at home. So we didn't talk for years before she passed away. And I'm sure that broke her heart, because this was her good friend. But she was willing to do it because she knew it might give her peace. It said additional testimony during the sentencing hearing came from her 19-year-old son, Kishan, who recounted incidents of violence in the home. He described a time when the knuckle dragger had beaten him with a belt for no reason, while his mother was away in Seattle, or while his mom was away in Seattle. And he also testified about witnessing the pond scum pulling a knife from a drawer during an argument with his mom. So Conrad ran to the drawer, grabbed a knife, and charged at my mom. My mom tried to stop him, and he sliced her neck. So he was his daughter wasn't the only one he was willing to commit violence in front of. And that judge sat there and listened to this account of this young man who was brave enough to come in there and talk about these incidents, and yet still, didn't give him a harsh enough sentence. It said families and friends of Utahnna's remember her, who she was only 36 at the time of her death, as a warm, kind person who loved her children deeply. The mother of two had a son who graduated from high school just a month after her death. Born and raised on the Wind River Indian Reservation, she attended Wyoming Indian Elementary School before attending Flandreau. I'm probably saying it wrong, and I apologize to her family if any of you are listening. Those who knew her described her as an athlete who played basketball and was an avid runner. In childhood, she would race her little brother, Jared, and win. Well, you can't let your little brother win. She was known for always being so nice, and she says, I can't think of anyone who would have something bad to say about her, said Walking Elk. Pam Cody, a former school bus driver who knew her son, recalled how proud she was of him, especially his cross-country running career. Just weeks before her death, Utahnna had asked Kobe to make a ribbon skirt, a celebratory tribal garment signifying pride and accomplishment for her son's upcoming graduation. And this is from Rafina, her sister. She said her son graduated 4 weeks after her death, and it had a significant toll on him because she had been so excited and had so many plans for him. So we can see how tough that had to be for that young man to have to go through his graduation, and I'm sure he did it for his mom. She loved her children, and you can tell she was proud of them. Fala, my mom's the strongest woman I know. I wouldn't change a thing. She said she was like, I don't know what I did to deserve a great kid, Kobe recalled. Kobe told her, you're a good mom. See, right there is some of that conversation that abused women have with themselves, where they say, I don't know what I did to deserve a great kid. So see, she did not have that self, esteem. He had beat it down. It was gone. What did I do to deserve this? This is a picture after the trial of her family wearing her shirts that they had made. Her sister wants people to remember Utahnna as a good older sister and a loving mother. Utahnna has been there for all of us. She's never judged me or judged us. She just had a good heart like that. And that was from her sister Chanel. Chanel. She said, I would love to speak on, this is Rafina speaking, because she sent me some notes. She says, I would love to speak on Utahnna and who she was as a person to everyone, but I only known me and mine and Utahnna's relationship. She said, Utahnna played different roles in everybody's lives. She left an impact on, and right now I can only speak on what role she played for me. And that was an older sister who always was loving, always gave the best advice. A big sister can always give that little sister she was when we needed her. She was a protector, and she was the best definition of a big sister. She says, I can also say she was one of the best aunties to my little boys. She loved them so much. I miss my sister so much. This tragedy didn't only affect me, but my 3 boys, Altois, Kylo I got. I'm sorry. Avan, I think. And I apologize if I mispronounce them, boys, because those are beautiful names. As she said, they have a hard time dealing with this now about their auntie. Sometimes I'm sure this nightmare plays over in their heads. Hence, they were woken up out of their sleep when we got the news about their auntie, and to see my boys cry for her broke my heart. No little kid should endure this kind of heartache at a young age. It says, waking up every day, coming to the realization we will never see Utahnna again hurts, because she was the best mom, daughter, sister, aunt, and the way she was, it was just tragic and disgusting the way she died. And she's right. Hey, the crime addict's here. Glad you're here, darling. We're talking about Utahnna Bearcomesout. And unfortunately, she was deleted by the knuckle dragger that was known as her husband, who got away with second degree when it should have been first degree. It said, for walking elk, the hardest part is knowing Bearcomesout's children no longer have their mother. And a tragic consequence, walking elk learned about Bearcomesout's death just as she was organizing an event to bring awareness to missing and murdered Indigenous people through her group, Indigenous Professionals. So the killing of Utahnna Bearcomesout adds to the sobering statistics of violence against Indigenous women, an issue that continues to demand greater attention and action across the Native communities, but beyond. We all have to take notice of this, guys. We all have to have our voices raised. We can't just leave this quiet anymore. We have to speak up. No more stolen sisters. No more missing and murdered Indigenous women, girls, men. None of them. We have to speak up as a people. At events, wear red if you go to one. Get some t-shirts. I'm trying to make a connection with someone that, in one of the communities that makes t-shirts, because I don't want to buy one that isn't made by the Indigenous or Native community. I think that we should support them where we can. And so as soon as I can make a connection, I will put that information up there. But please, everybody, let's remember Utahnna. Let's speak her name. Let's not forget it. Let's remember her family, because they deserve more justice than they got. And let our voices be heard. Before we leave tonight, we do have a couple of missing girls to watch out for. This is Kiana Buffalo. She was last seen on April 15th in 2025 near Rapid City, South Dakota. She has a nose piercing, a tattoo with her name and hearts on her left wrist, tattoos of stars on her right hand. If you have any information, the Rapid City Police Department, there is their number. Please contact them. Hey, therapist, glad you're here. So hopefully, if someone sees her, they will contact the police so that she can be found. We don't want any more stolen sisters or missing sisters. We've got to stop this. This is Maylene Percy. She's 19, last seen March 29th of 2025. Her residence is in Levine, Arizona, and that's the last place she was seen. She's 4'9". She only weighs approximately 115. She has brown hair, her brown eyes, black hair. She has a scar on her left cheek and her left eyebrow. She was last seen wearing a black jacket, blue denim jeans, black and white Vans. She is a member of the Gila River Indian community. And if you have information regarding Maylene Percy, contact either the anonymous tip line or Gila River Police Department. Let's get her found. She needs to be brought home, because it's really important that these young girls have someone that will stand up and realize they need to be counted. And we need to be part of that community. And I think we can be. I stream on Thursdays and Sundays. So at least one of those days, I will always try and have something about either the missing or the murdered Indigenous women or girls. And this is something close to my heart. So we will spend one night talking about different cases. If you haven't seen our previous ones, we had one on an Alaskan serial killer that was after Alaskan Native women, and also one up in Canada. So there, sometimes we will cover cases from the First Nations because they all count. I saw this, a Vogue cover. I loved it. No More Stolen Sisters. She's beautiful. And let's make sure we say her name. Utahnna Bearcomesout. We're not going to forget her. We're not going to forget her for her family. I'll be doing an update soon on Emily Pike because there is some new information on that. If there is a case that anybody is interested in me covering or knows of a case, let me know. William, I did look up that one case you asked me about the teacher. That was a Spanish teacher that they were trying to say that he was being anti-Semitic in the schools. But they didn't do anything with him. I mean, as far as I know, he's still there. So that was all I could find out about that one. But if you have any case that you're interested in someone digging into, I don't mind. I don't mind. As soon as I can figure out, you guys, how to have a guest, I would love to have a guest. The computer, Doc and I are still working on that, aren't we?
We're trying to figure that one out.
Because trust me, I am not the computer girl. Hey, Ken, it's good to see you. So what are people's thoughts on this case of Utahnna? I mean, my heart's broke when I started delving into this. I could not believe the judge up there did not give them more justice. I mean, how you can get somebody for murder and then you take away the gun charges? I mean, please, that is just ridiculous. That makes no sense. And the fact that he done it. Ugh. I'll tell you, Doc was trying to be nice to me tonight. And before we were filming, while I went to put on my makeup so I didn't scare y'all, he brought me a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. You don't give peanut butter to someone that's got to be talking a lot. It's just,
What are your lips like glued shut now? Or what?
They feel like it, man.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
But I appreciate you, Doc. I wouldn't be here without you, dude. You're my ride or die, and I love you. But let's, hey, anybody got a question? Anybody got some thoughts? Krista's giving Ken some thank you very much. And yes, Fala and Ken, they work together now over at Trial TV Live. Remember, Trial TV Live, if you want to watch a trial without a lot of interruption, that is your channel. Whenever there's a break or at the end of the day, the Squeege of Justice will give you a roundup of what has happened, which is awesome. But during the trial, he doesn't talk, and we have some beautiful streamers, like we have Emily D. Baker, who is an attorney, I think she was a prosecutor, if I'm not wrong. So, if you want to watch her, because she can give you the prosecution's viewpoint, and it's good. But she likes to talk during it. Broken Baker, he was giving some great tips when he was watching the Karen Reed trial, because we know Karen Reed's going for her second trial. But that poor girl, it shouldn't be happening, but it is. And we have some other big cases coming up, but these are the cases that are important to me, the ones that sometimes get missed. The crime addicts, yeah, I love Emily D. Baker too, because there are those cases where you want that knowledge of the law. See, Ken, you need a law channel, dude. We'd follow you.
Sarah will try and put something together and send it to you.
Ken, I agree. Sometimes a different streamer for a different mood. It's all, you guys, there is enough, sadly, true crime and trials that there are enough people out there that we can be switching and watching and enjoying their content. You know, everybody is doing a good job. Yeah, Sarah, I will get you on that young lady that's missing out of Gila, Arizona. She's such a beautiful young lady. I had read something today, and I didn't get a chance to finish going through it, but it was talking about, you know, being aware of trafficking victims. And some of that, you guys, is when you're out and about, put the cell phones down. Be aware of the people around you. You know, even if someone is being trafficked or has been taken, they're not always going to come up and say, I need help. You have to watch for the signs. Sometimes the signs are that you need to contact the authorities and let them check into it, because you don't want to put yourself in danger. And sometimes you can put them in danger by trying to approach them. But if you see something kind of fishy or doesn't make you feel good, contact the authorities. Let them go check it out. It's their job. Krusty, that's true. You can't silence the voice of the voiceless. And sadly, we need to speak out. We need to speak out for the stolen sisters, because they need all the help they can get, because they are being ignored. I think I knew it, but when I was delving into a case over a year ago, last year, and it happened in a reservation in Redding, California. And Nikki McCain, she actually was not a native or a Windu with the Windu tribe, but her husband was. And so that was how I started really getting involved. And I think from now on, that's something I'm going to really be speaking out against. I want Utanna's family to know that we're here for them. If they want to reach out at any time, if later when I get better at this, if they want to even come on and even talk about her, we'll be willing to listen, won't we? I will. Therapists, you know, become aware of the hand signal of domestic violence and BOLO for it. Okay? I know today my phone went off with a child warning here in Houston, or not in Houston. It was, I can't remember exactly, but it was here in Texas. Ivana Gonzalez, but I couldn't find the information yet to put her picture up. Thank you, Fala. I love you too. Hey, Hellcat, glad you joined us. For those of you that, you know, if you didn't get to see the whole thing, I really beg you to watch, because we did this in memory and honor of Utahnna Bearcomesout. I spoke with her sister, Rafina, today, and my heart breaks for the family. Her daughter is, after witnessing her mother being shot by her dad, is safe. She is with her grandma, but you know that child's going to need all the help she can get. William, you know what? I will get with therapist, you know, and we'll get some of these hand signals, and one of these days we're going to go over them, because this is what we need to do. We need to learn these hand signals. I think there's one that's like a 411. What is it, fella? Is it like this? Like this? But the thumbs, on the inside. Okay. Okay. Hey, Capri Law. Good to see you, sweetheart. But please share this video. Let's get the word out about Utahnna and what happened and the injustice that her family got, because this man was looking at life in prison and he didn't get it. You know, he got, I think it was approximately 30 years, and that's just not enough. He literally shot her while I think one of her aunties was in the chat earlier and said Utahnna was turning her head away when he shot and killed her. And that breaks my heart, because, and then for that knuckle dragger to get up on the stand as he was making jokes. Her sister Rafina said in that 3.5 hours, he was joking with his attorney. He joked while he was up on the stand, and he was saying this was accidental. It's injustice. And for that judge not to give him life, and for that prosecutor, for them to make a plea deal with him, when you have this man dead to rights. They did. They had him.
It just thinks of something that there was something behind it.
Nobody cared.
Yeah.
It wasn't that the knuckle dragger knew anybody. Nobody cared, because she was not Caucasian, blonde, and blue-eyed, and a soccer mom. And I'm sorry if you're blonde, blue-eyed, and a soccer mom out there, because we care about you too, but these are the women that get overlooked. And that will not happen anymore, at least on my channel. We will stand up and we will say their names, we will remember them, and we will honor them. And I love all of you guys for being here tonight. It means a lot to Z and I. Or I'm Z, he's Doc. This one's got me going, guys. This story got me good, because it just, what can I tell you? When I get one that touches my heart, it just, and her sister, oh, here, let me, her sister, Rafina, sent me, this was some of the words that one of her nieces wrote to the judge. She said, "As for the defendant, I hope you feel guilty for everything you've done to cause Utahnna pain. You didn't just murder her. You know all your sadistic behaviors. I hope these words I speak haunt you the way your presence haunted Utahnna. And you didn't think to have mercy, knowing my aunt's child was in the back seat. Now she has to live with that trauma every day. You not only failed as a husband, you failed as a father too. You're a disgrace of a human being. As much as I want the court to give you a life sentence, that's too good for you. You're still allowed to eat, sleep, talk, and walk. My aunt will never be able to do the same because of you. As much as I want justice to be the death penalty, even hell is too good for you. Fortunately, that decision isn't up to me nor my family, but we will walk away today with grace, our heads held high, and continue to scream, 'Justice for Utahnna Bearcomesout. Thank you, Your Honor.'" That was from her niece, and I thought that was really touching. She sent me another one, and this one, I don't know if I can get the print. You know how my eyesight is. I know I need to go to an eye doctor, but here we go. Here we go. Okay, this one more. It says, "Thank you, Your Honor, for allowing my family and I a chance to speak in front of you in the court. I am Tashara Spoonhunter. I am one of the nieces of the late Utahnna Bearcomesout. 11 months ago, Knuckle Dragger, we don't say his name, took my aunt's life in the most cold-blooded way possible. We were robbed of years of memories with her. My aunt has two children, Kashan and Utahnna Bearcomesout. Their lives were flipped upside down to the heartless act. They have to continue life without their mother, who was their life, love, laughter, smiles, and warmth. I've watched them try to get used to their new normal, which wouldn't have happened if the defendant would have just thought about her kid. He would have thought about his kids. Ayana loves to try new food so she can, in quote, find someone who cooks like my mommy. Kashan graduated in May of last month after his mother's life was taken. He put his life on hold to get a job so he can, in quote, provide for my sister. No child should have to go through what my cousins have faced for a lifetime. My aunt has multiple siblings, but only one full-blooded brother. Jared Bear comes out. I've watched him go through every stage of grief, which our family isn't new to, but the pain in his eyes of losing my aunt was unbearable. To see his laughter tried to hide unbearable to see his laughter tried to hide the loss. His smiles tried to hide the grief, but his eyes couldn't hide the pain that'll never be eased. They were the definition of best friends. Their love for each other was unbreakable. The defendant stole all of this from my uncle. Utahnna wasn't just a mother. She was a daughter, a sister, an aunt, a grandma, and a friend. Her aura was so bright that anyone who met her would feel at home with her. You were always heard talking to her, and you felt safe. The pain my family has encountered is by far one of the hardest things we've had to go through. We will never get to see her smile again, hug her again, hear her voice ever again. We will never get a why, and our healing process will start all over again after today. So that was really beautiful. Those were from her nieces, and I thought they deserved to have their words read because Farina sent them to me, and she asked if we would listen to them. So we did it for Utahnna. I thank you all, my lovelies, and I'm really appreciate you guys coming tonight and being with us. It means so much, and lasting words, just remember, every killer counts on your silence. Don't be the reason we're telling another story on this channel. If you know something, say something, because that wasn't a mannequin. It never is. I love y'all. Good night, and we'll see you Sunday at 8 p.m. Central Time Zone. Thank you, guys.